Okay, this is gonna be a more serious kind of video. Let's talk about Etika. So, that whole situation, right? Uh, it's pretty tough to talk about, I would imagine. I don't plan on sharing this video around, so if you see it, you see it. If you don't, you don't. I don't want to talk about it for too long. And I don't think I'm gonna edit this video for too much either, because I don't. It's something that's important. I don't need to joke around and like that. That's not the purpose. That's not gonna happen. Right. Period. Right. So most people, and I say most because I've seen people who say otherwise, currently believe that Etika is having a sort of mental breakdown and problem. You have some people on his Reddit page and that Etika has kind of shared around on his Twitter, which, if you haven't noticed, kind of has been a minefield lately. Um, and because of like some cops that kind of detained him and got into his apartment and all that kind of stuff, people have been kind of talking about what's going on with Etika. So I kind of just want to give my 2 cents on it. I don't mean to offend anyone with any views that I have. You have your views. You are perfectly, it's perfectly all right for you to have those views, right? No one here, at least I'm pretty sure, is not an actual, medical professional when it comes to, the mind and whatnot, right? Mental illness is very serious shit, right? And I don't know, I'm not qualified to speak on whether or not somebody can be diagnosed with some kind of mental illness. I'm not anything like that. So I want to make that clear. But, so we have kind of like two sides of people right now. People who believe that Etika is going through some kind of mental breakdown. He has some form of mental illness. And then you have other people who are saying that he clearly does not have any kind of mental illness, considering he's been to the some kind of institute 3 times now, and he doesn't seem to have any problems because they keep letting him out. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a professional. You guys can give your opinions on that, because honestly, I don't really know where I stand on that either. I do believe that to an extent you can kind of trick your way out of those situations because of experiences I've had. I'm not going to get into that in this video. Maybe sometime later when I feel like sharing about myself, but not right now. It's not about me. It's about Etika. I'm not going to claim I was ever a good friend of his or anything like that, because I don't really know the guy. He doesn't really know me either. The only thing he knows is that I've hung out with him a couple of... no, I've interacted with him a couple of times, is a better way of putting it. I've interacted with him before. I've had drinks with the guy before. That's kind of it. It hasn't really gone more than that. I know he knows me as the guy who's first for Smash, but that's kind of it. That's as deep as it goes. He's aware of my existence, but that's kind of it, which isn't really shit if you want to be fair. But with all this stuff going on and Etika's mental illness thing going on, I think two very things are important. And like I said, I'm not a professional by any means, so maybe these things aren't actually important. Maybe they don't really matter in the long run. But I think two things are important. One is that he needs help. And he needs help, and he also needs somebody who will kind of be a hard ass, essentially, right? Usually the people who's a hard ass kind of give the most realistic advice. They may come off as a hard ass because they give the most realistic advice, but the problem is that, and this also coincides with the first thing, I believe, Etika needs to take getting help seriously, because if he's blocking everyone that is trying to help him, there's only so much we can do. And it's also, unless we're really close friends and family, it's also not our business for the most part. So it's kind of like there's only so much fans can do, because fans don't truly know Desmond. We don't know Desmond. I don't know Desmond, and the people who do know Desmond are getting blocked for trying to help him. So there's only so much we can do. But that's the first thing. The second thing, I believe, is that there may be uh I guess like I'm not totally on board with this because I'm mentioning this primarily because other people have kind of mentioned this whole thing, and maybe this is a thing, maybe, but I'm not totally on board with it. I want to make that clear. The first thing I mentioned, I totally do believe, and that's something I think he needs to do. But the second thing is something that I'm mentioning because it may have played a part, but I don't know. And what that is basically just when it's being enabled, right? Triforce Johnson, if you're unaware, has mentioned this himself, where if people come to his streams and you enable his crazy behavior with donations and more donations saying, "Oh my God, do the thing, it'll be so hype." Why be surprised when he does it? You enable that behavior. So it's kind of like he's surrounded, or maybe was surrounded, by a bunch of people who kind of fed off of that energy, fed off of that, hype beast mentality. I'm not an expert. He's a grown ass man. He can make whatever decisions he wants to make, but it does enable him and keeps a roof over his head, essentially, for him to do these wild things. And I guess the thing is that if we continue to enable kind of negative behavior in an individual, then they're gonna continue with that negative behavior. If I have a friend who is constantly toxic to, let's say, another friend of mine or somebody I was dating, or something along those lines, then I'm not going to enable that behavior by continuing to interact with that person, or give positive vibes for those actions. I'll either call them out or I step away. It's up to you what that choice is. That's usually how I've lived my life. That's not a professional medical opinion of mental health or anything like that. That's just how I've lived my life. If somebody comes to me and starts being ultra toxic and just displaying negative traits to my friends and family, or people that care about them, or that sort of thing, I'll try to help and give the advice and say, "Hey, dude, this is not good. You should probably cut that person off, or tell them to quit it." So if they don't do it, then what are you gonna do? They're adults. They can make whatever decision they want to make. If they want to continue exhibiting these negative traits and they choose to do that, there's not much you can do. So either you have to deal with that, or you just leave. And that kind of sucks. I've lost a lot of friends for those kind of reasons. And it does suck, right? And I don't think people who are close to Etika want to do that, because this is a very serious situation. They want to help him, which I understand. That's a very understandable thing. It's hard to help someone who doesn't want to help themselves. But there's only so much we can do, So if he's deciding that he doesn't want any of these people around, and he doesn't want any help or anything like that, and he, wants to keep the people who share his mentality with him, that's up to him. And whether or not the rest of the community of his fans are like that or not, unfortunately, it's not up to you. You can decide what you want to do from there, though. You can continue supporting Etika if you want to. But you shouldn't really be surprised if it continues going the way it is. However, if you don't like it, don't support it. Don't support don't support things that you feel are negative and bad. Just leave. I guess that's kind of it. I don't have much to say on it, and I don't know if I've talked for a while or not. I probably not gonna edit this. I'm just gonna not share it around. It's like I said, if you see it, you see it. That's it. But I guess let me know how you guys feel about it. I don't really have anything to go along with this, but mental illness is very, very serious, and the most that I can say, honestly, is maybe just look out for yourselves and look out for your loved ones too. And I guess that's it. I'll see you guys in the next video, and hopefully it'll be a lot more positive than this one.